What's up, y'all? VZ, we back with another video. Y'all see the thumbnail? Y'all see the title? Let's get right into it. Dana Bash and Shady Vance clash over baseless claims about Haitian immigrants. Here we go. This is part one out of part two. I don't know why we need to do the whole thing, but it's all good. Let's get right into it. Let's go.
We are 51 days from the election, and together with their running mates, Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump are focusing on the states that will decide the next president, with the race apparently deadlocked after what could be the only Harris-Trump debate. But Donald Trump is also doubling down on a baseless claim that he made at the debate, that Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, are eating people's pets. Local officials and the state's Republican governor say there is absolutely no evidence of that claim, and they are warning it is actually hurting their city. Springfield, Ohio is facing a fourth day of threats over the claims that have forced a college, hospitals, and schools to lock down. Meanwhile, Springfield police say they received 2 calls about Proud Boys marching through the city. Here's how Donald Trump responded to the controversy over Haitians who, I want to note, are in the U.S. legally.
I don't know what happened with the bomb threats. I know that it's been taken over by illegal migrants, and that's a terrible thing that happened. Springfield was this beautiful town, and now they're going through hell.
Recipes. Recipes written by hand and lost to time are now being analyzed and restored using the power of Dell AI.
Upset stomach? Indigestion. Ipirogast. 6 digestive symptoms. The power of nature.
Here with me now is Republican Vice Presidential nominee J.D. Vance, who represents Ohio in the U.S. Senate. Thank you for being here, sir. So the mayor of Springfield, Ohio, Rob Rue, said, quote, all these federal politicians that have negatively spun our city, they need to know they're hurting our city, and it was their words that did it. Before Donald Trump talked about eating dogs and cats on a debate stage, it was you, Senator, who first elevated this baseless rumor. These are your constituents. So why are you putting them at risk by continuing to spread claims about Haitian immigrants, despite officials in your state saying that there's no evidence and pleading for you to stop?
Well, Dana, first of all, what's putting the residents of Springfield at risk, which was a town completely ignored by the American media until Donald Trump and I started surfacing some of these concerns, is that they can't afford housing, they can't afford health care. The schools have been overwhelmed, the hospitals have been overwhelmed, and they're overwhelmed because Kamala Harris allowed 20,000 Haitian migrants to get dropped into a small Ohio town of about 40,000 people, and it's completely overwhelmed the services. Now, you ask, why have I talked about some of the things that I've been talking about? Let me just say this. My constituents have brought approximately a dozen separate concerns to me. 10 of them are verifiable and confirmable, and a couple of them I talk about because my constituents are telling me firsthand that they're seeing these things. So I have 2 options, Dana. I can ignore them, which is what the American media has done for years to this community, or I can actually talk about what people are telling me. And of course, many of the things that the media says are completely baseless have since been confirmed. For example, I was told, Dana, that by the American media that it was baseless that migrants were capturing the geese from the local park pond and eating them. And yet there are 911 calls from well before this ever became a viral sensation of people complaining about that exact thing happening. So my attitude is listen to my constituents. Sometimes they're going to say things that people don't like, but they're saying things that people don't like because their town has been overwhelmed, and it's my job to try to fight for them and to protect them. Kamala Harris opened the border, and now these people are suffering. That's what I'm focused on, Dana.
Senator, I have to go through several things that you just said. First of all, the Clark County Sheriff and the Ohio Department of Natural Resources reviewed 11 months of 911 calls. They only identified 2 instances of people alleging Haitians were taking geese out of parks. They found 0 evidence to substantiate those claims. Also, other evidence that you have talked about, even you've retweeted alleged evidence, are unsourced social media videos from a different city, apparently no connection to Haitians, And this is from a conservative activist who offered a $5,000 reward for such things. And then going just backly to the schools and the hospitals and so forth being overwhelmed, nobody is disputing that the town of Springfield, Ohio needs help. But you're not just a bystander, you're the senator from Ohio. So instead of saying things that are wrong and actually causing the hospitals, the schools, the government buildings to be evacuated because of bomb threats, because of the cats and dogs thing, why not actually be constructive in helping to better integrate them into the community? Because there are a lot of employers there who say that the Haitian workers are helping fill jobs that they need desperately filled.
Before JD goes on, let's see what JD says. This is interesting. Obviously you need proof for stuff, or it's not going to be, you know what I'm saying, it's not supposedly real. You got to have proof of this stuff, man. It could be, Nyla, why did you just hop on me? Please. You can say a whole bunch of stuff, but if you don't have proof, nobody knows if it's real. So I want to hear his comeback, because she just came up with a stat line that's probably true. So I want to hear his comeback. He know that Dana is on his tush. She's not playing about him. He was smirking his whole video so far because he knows that. So let's see what he got to say. Let's go. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and like the video. Let's go.
Dana, first of all, let me just respond to a couple of things that you said, but I want to start with something you said, which I think is frankly disgusting and is more appropriate for a Democratic propagandist than it is for an American journalist. There is nothing that I have said that has led to threats against these hospitals. These hospitals, the bomb threats and so forth, it's disgusting.
Look at her face.
Disgusting. We condemn it. We condemn all violence.
Senator, this happened after you and President Trump were on the debate stage, said that cats and dogs were being eaten.
You asked a question, Dana, and I'm going to go ahead and answer it.
They are funny.
What we have said is that this town has suffered terribly under the policies of Kamala Harris. Now, you just accused me of inciting violence against the community when all that I've done is surface the complaints of my constituents, people who are suffering because of Kamala Harris's policies. Are we not allowed to talk about these problems because some psychopaths are threatening violence? We can condemn the violence on the one hand, but also talk about the terrible consequences of Kamala Harris's open border on the other hand. Now, let me just fact check a couple of other things that you said, Dana, because it's important. You said that all of these migrants are in the country legally. They are in the country through what's called temporary protective status.
Right.
That is when Kamala Harris waved a magic amnesty wand, taking people and giving them legal status. That is not to say that they're here legally. That is a terrible indictment of her amnesty policies that have further opened the border and further caused terrible migration into this country.
You might not agree with the policy, and obviously you don't, which is totally fair and legitimate. There are policy disagreements all the time. But the fact is, it is the law because President Biden and Vice President Harris are. But I don't want to frankly go down this conversation about policy,
Dana,
because
you made a point. You don't. I agree. You don't want to talk about policy.
No,
Dana,
what I want to talk about
instead of about the fact
Senator,
that
it was
Harris,
your distraction.
Dana, granted amnesty.
You were the one who started talking about eating dogs and cats.
Level.
You were the one who brought this
my
up.
Constituents
the president
were the
said
ones
it to
who talked
60
about eating
million
dog and
people.
cats, and I talked about it because you were ignoring this community. My constituents talked about it.
Have you been to
my
Springfield?
Responsibility to surface their concerns when the American media.
Have you been to Springfield? Have you?
Probably 100 times.
Oh my God.
My children get ice cream at Young's Jersey Dairy.
Have you heard recently since you've
I
gotten
been
these
been in the last 4 days?
No.
Oh my God.
In the last 4 days, but I've
Since
talked
you've
to a lot
gotten
of
these
people
calls
in
from the
Springfield,
constituents.
Dana, and they're telling me
This shit is so funny.
Dana, would you like to ask me questions and then let me answer them, or would you like to debate me on these topics? I noticed that when you had Kamala Harris and Tim Walz,
Dana.
you gave them multiple choice answers to the questions that you asked, and you allowed them to answer the questions. I'm happy to be here to talk about policy, but if you're going to interrupt me every single time that I open my mouth, then why am I even doing this? So please ask a question, and I'd ask you to be polite enough to let me answer it.
Yes,
we obviously we all got our opinions on stuff, but he is right in that let him answer the question, and then you come off after that. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, like I don't care who's right and wrong, just let him answer the question, and then Dana, you can come off that. But it is a whole bunch of interruptions. Yeah.
And I think that if Kamala Harris and Tim Walz were making unsubstantiated claims that had racist undertones about people eating dogs and cats, and they didn't answer the questions about that, then I would have similar interactions with them. As you know, I am very grateful that you come on the show, as I am for other Republicans. But this is something that you're hearing from constituents. I did a lot of reporting. I talked to people in Ohio over the weekend, and they're really worried about these claims. The policies, yes, I am agreeing with you that what I heard is that there is concern that these migrants, there's a lot of them, and the integration isn't being done fast enough and well enough. And that's a totally legitimate conversation. But there are other conversations that are happening.
Focus on the business you're in, not the technology you need. Learn more at ncrvoyix.com.
Oh shit! I think it's a part 2 of this, if I'm not mistaken. I'm gonna figure out it's a part 2, and if it's a part 2, I'm gonna mix it in this video, or I'm gonna put part 2. Probably gonna mix it in this video. But yeah, so far, interesting. They always go at it though, man. Obviously she said there's no proof in the dogs and cats being eaten and Haitians and stuff. If there's no proof, it's no proof. That means no proof is happening. He needs to apologize about his vice president for saying, not vice president, former president. I'm sorry for saying that, and Mr. Donald Trump. But he's also right in disrupting him and then not let him talk and stuff. He's right about that, but other than that, he's not right about anything else. But yeah, y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comment section about all this. This is interesting. I love these part of the years, the Olympics and the chaos of the presidency stuff. But like I always said, we are not separated as a country. We're together as a country. But every time this come around, we're separated. But at the end of the day, we're all Americans. We just got to put in our vote. No matter who you vote for, that's your opinion. Just put in your vote and go from there, yeah. But like I said, if it's a part 2 to this interview, I'm going to either mix it in this video or make a separate video about it, depending on what I want to do. But yeah, make sure y'all like the video. Make sure you comment on the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you get notified when I upload, y'all. I love y'all. Peace and love, baby. We out.